statements. In some cases, you want a piece of code to run at least once and then loop based on a specific condition after its initial run. This is where the do while statement comes in. A do while statement says to do a task once and then keep doing it until a specified condition is no longer met. The syntax for a do while statement looks like this. So we've got let count string equal an empty string, let I equals 0, count string equals count string plus I plus plus, while I is less than 5. So let's break this down. So in this example, the code block makes changes to the count string variable by appending the string to the string form of the I variable to it. So that's just the first bit here, right? So it will say that I equals 0, but count string will equal count string plus I. So then it will take the empty string and wrap it around the value that I was, which is interesting. So you can actually change a number to a string like that. First, the code block after the do keyword is executed once. Then the condition is evaluated. If the condition evaluates to true, the block will execute again. The looping stops when the condition evaluates to false. Note that the while and do while loop are different. Unlike the while loop, do while will run at least once whether the condition is met or not, or whether or not the condition evaluates to true. So this code block will always run at least once and then check its condition, right? Whereas the while loop checks its condition first and then runs. So to exit out of an infinite loop, again, they're warning us about that. We haven't run into that yet. We'd like a program to simulate part of the cake baking process. Depending on the recipe, a different number of cups of sugar is required. Create the variable cups of sugar needed and assign it a number value of your choosing. Cups of sugar needed. Alrighty, copy that variable. The cups of sugar must be added to the batter at one at a time. Declare the variable cups added and assign it a value of 0. So first variable will be cups of sugar needed. Let's say this is like 4, right? 4 cups of sugar, making a big cake. Whoops, I accidentally hit Control Enter instead of just Enter. I'm going to add cups added as a variable as well, and set that equal to 0. We have a sweet tooth, so we want to add at least 1 cup of sugar to the batter, even if the cups of sugar needed is 0. So create a do while loop, which increments cups added by 1 while cups added is less than cups of sugar needed. So no matter what the recipe calls for, we will always at least add 1 cup of sugar, like the decent Americans we are. While cups added is less than cups of sugar needed. Okay? In order to help us visualize the output on each iteration of the loop, add a console log within the do while block and log the value of cups added. Okay. So do keyword. Do the block first, which increments cups added by 1 while cups is less than the cups of sugar needed. So this is just going to be cups added and plus, right? Cups added plus. And I think that's all we need inside of the block, but we need a console log inside of the block. So console log cups added. Yeah, console log cups added. Oh, what happened here? Unexpected token. Oh yeah, because it doesn't like this. While cups added is less than cups of sugar needed. I think that's all we need. While unexpected token doesn't like that, so maybe we get rid of this. Do the keyword outside of the parentheses. It's probably better syntax there. Cups added plus assignment to a constant variable. Ah, yes, so this needs to be let cups added to change that. There we go. Worked out the kinks. So do cups added plus plus console log cups added, while cups added is less than the cups of sugar needed. So as you can see, we added the cups 1, 2, 3, 4, one at a time. If we put this to 0, right, so there are no cups of sugar needed. It is a sugar-free recipe, but yet we have a sweet tooth, so we're going to add in 1 nonetheless. So the do while loop allows us to add in 1, even if it does not meet our condition, which would be the recipe in that case. The break keyword. Imagine we're looking to adopt a dog. Aw, we're adopting a doggo. We plan to go to the shelter every day for a year and then give up. Okay, but what if we meet our dream dog on day 65? We don't want to keep going to the shelter for the next 300 days just because our original plan was to go for a whole year. In our code, when we want to stop a loop from continuing to execute, even though the original stopping condition we wrote for our loop hasn't been met, we can use the keyword break. The break keyword allows programs to break out of the loop within the loop's block. So let's check out the syntax of a break keyword. So for let I equal 0, I is less than 99, I plus plus. If I is greater than 2, then break. Console log banana. Console log aren't you glad I broke the loop, right? So this is the output for the above code. Banana, banana, banana. Aren't you glad I broke the loop? So that banana didn't run 99 times or 100 times. It only ran 3 times. Break statements can be especially helpful when we're looping through large data structures. With breaks, we can add test conditions besides the stopping condition and exit the loop when they're met. Okay, so log each statement from wrapper array in a for loop with the iterator value of I. So so write your code below. So this is going to use the .length property of the wrapper array. So let's first initialize our variable. So let I equal 0. And this is like what we did before. If I is less than the wrapper array.length, and then I will iterate. We'll increase. I think that's log each element. So console log wrapper array with the index of I. That will iterate through our array. Okay, cool. As for after the for loop, log this string, and if you don't know, now you know to the console. Note, since there's a single quote character in our string, we can use double quotes around the string to make sure the character prints. Nice. But what if you have double quotes? Then you have to use the forward slash, right? Or is it the backslash? I think it's backslash. If you're adding in a special character that is either a quotation mark with single quotations or double quotation marks, in those types of strings, you need to add in the backslash. But for now, we'll just put in double quotations. This is after the for loop, so console log, and we'll just copy what they've got here. And if you don't know, now you know, just realizing that they're using double quotations instead of single for the string, and that way they can get away with this without having to put in the lovely backslash. That's how you do it if you just have single quotation marks around your string. All right, console log that. And if you don't know, now you know. And a break inside your loop's block that breaks out of the loop if the element at the current index in the wrapper array is notorious big. Log the element before breaking out of the loop. Okay, so they want the break to come after this. If the current element is notorious big. Okay, so if I guess, yeah, so if wrapper array accessing the index of I if that is equal to the string of notorious big, notorious big b period I period g period, like that. Once again, we don't have to use double quotations there. We can just use singles. There we go. And if that happens, then break it. I think we can do that. Let's see. Let's get rid of our redundant curly braces there. Then just break. Right? See if that works. Yeah, okay. Then you just add in the break keyword. So if this condition is met, break it, break the loop. So then you have, but we wanted to log it beforehand. So if we added this before the console log, right? Then it will only give us 2. Yeah, see? So because it sees that the condition is met and then stops it immediately. But then the other way around, with console logging it first, the condition is met, it is console logged, and then you break the loop. So if you run it again, then there will be 3 wrappers instead of 2 that are named. All right, great job. In this lesson, we learned how to write cleaner code with loops. You now know loops perform repetitive actions, so we don't have to code that process manually every time. How to write for loops with an iterator, variable that increments or decrements. How to use a for loop to iterate through an array. A nested for loop is a loop inside of another loop. While loops allow for different types of stopping conditions. Also, they are good if you have no idea when the loop is going to end or when it should end. You can just do a while loop. Stopping conditions are crucial for avoiding infinite loops. Do while loops. Run code at least once, only checking the stopping condition after the first execution. And the break keyword allows programs to leave a loop during the execution of its block. So they gave us an array to play around with if we wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and move on. I feel like we have sufficiently covered JavaScript loops. We're going to go on to the next project. Going to go on to whale talk. Take the phrase like turpentine and turtles and translate it into its whale talk equivalent. Ooh, yeah, ooh. Where's Dora when you need her? There are a few simple rules for translating text to a whale language. There are no consonants, only vowels excluding Y. The U's and the E's are extra long, so we must double them in our program. Once we have converted the text to the whale language, the result is sung slowly, as is custom in the ocean. To accomplish this translation, we can use our knowledge of loops. Let's get started. Alrighty, we're going to program some whale translation, whale talk translation. Create a variable named input that is equal to any phrase you'd like. This variable will contain the text you want to translate to whale talk. Okay, so constant input equals, what's the phrase? What phrase should we use? Let's see, something like very astute, or so that it just comes out as gobbledygook, right? So let's see. So whale talk. What should we do for our string? Thinking of some presidential quote or something. Maybe something that had to do with a C, right? Oh, I know what I'm gonna put. Okay, let's do maybe beluga in the deep blue sea. Okay. All right, we created our variable. Whales only speak with the vowels. I keep saying values. Vowels A, E, I, O, and U. Using these lowercase letters, create an array named vowels. This array will not be updated, so be sure to choose the appropriate declaration keyword. The use of this array will be more apparent within the following steps. The appropriate declaration keyword. Okay, so it won't be updated. So you could put either. They made a point to say that, but you could put either. So constant or let. Since it's not going to be changed, you can just put it as constant, right? constant values equals A, E, I, O, and U. Okay, so let's put an array of A, and remember to put your comma outside of your quotation marks. A, E, I, O, and U. U. Okay. Create a variable named result array and set it equal to an empty array. This will serve as a place to store the values from the input string. Okay, so then one more variable here, result array. And this is just going to be empty. Alrighty. Create a loop to iterate through each letter of the input variable text. In a later step, we will compare each letter with our vowels array. Okay, so should we use a for, a while? I think a for, right? Because we know it's a definite number of steps. So iterating through each letter of the input variable. So for, and let I equal 0. Then the stopping condition will be the length of, let's see, through each letter of the input variable text. Input variable text. So that would be like, would that be index of? Using the index of? Anyway, that's a step ahead. So let's just do this. Let's just establish our stopping condition. So if I is less than the length of input, so input.length, then I increases by 1. Inside of this, what we'll need to do is say iterates through each letter of the input variable. So do we need like a return? We don't need a return keyword. The way that I'm thinking about this is like, so console log, right? We console log the input index of wouldn't work. It would have to be the opposite, right? Because index of gives us where a certain string is in an array. We need one to say, they showed us this earlier, I can't remember. They need one to say, to give it an index and then return a string value. Input. Since input is only a string and not an array, the index value is probably not going to work. But how do you log something at the current input length? Like, because basically we want to say that, like, okay, so at the current input length, I is where we're going to set it. So the first character, right? I forget what this is. They showed us this a couple days ago, where we could say, okay, so put in the value of 2, right? Length equals 2. Because if we just console log the length, it'll just give us the full, yeah, it'll just give us 33 a bunch of times. So if I console log input, it's like the input of I, right? Can we do that? Can we make it like an array and just say the input of I? Yeah, okay, so we can. We can do that. So even though input is not an array, we can still access the index of wherever it is in the string, and then it will print us out our vertical text here. So baby beluga